Three people retire in the very same year, from the same kind of job, in the same quiet town. 20 years later, one of them is broke and genuinely frightened, one is comfortable but always careful, and one is completely, calmly free. Three different classes of retirement lived on the same street, and almost none of it was decided by how much any of the three of them actually earned. Most people assume which retirement you get comes down to income. Earn a lot, and you retire rich. Earn a little, and you scrape by. But that is not how it works at all. There are three distinct classes of retirement, and which one you land in is decided by a handful of quiet decisions, not by the size of your paycheck. Let me walk you through all three, because you are building toward one of them right now. The first class is broke. Not homeless, but trapped. Carl reached 67 with almost nothing saved, leaning entirely on his Social Security check, around $1,900 a month. Every single bill becomes a small negotiation. One surprise, a car repair, a medical copay, a bad month, turns instantly into a crisis. And here is the cruel part. Carl did not earn badly his whole life. He just never managed to keep any of it. Because Carl always meant to start saving next year. He upgraded his lifestyle with every single raise. He carried debt right into his 60s. And he treated his future like it would somehow take care of itself. By the time that future finally arrived, there was simply nothing waiting there for it. Being broke in retirement is almost never about a low income. It is about a life that quietly spent everything it ever made, and it shows up everywhere. Carl skips the dentist because it can wait, keeps the heat low to save a little, and quietly dreads the phone calls from anyone trying to sell him something. He worked his whole life, and his reward is a retirement spent doing math at the kitchen table at midnight. That is what broke actually looks like up close, and almost nobody is warned about it in time. The second class is comfortable. Susan retired with a modest nest egg, maybe $400,000, plus her Social Security on top. And she is genuinely fine. She covers her needs, she takes a small trip now and then, she sleeps okay at night. But she watches every single withdrawal, because she knows, deep down, that the money is finite. A major shock, a long illness, a bad decade in the market could still seriously shake her. And comfortable is genuinely good. Most people would be thrilled to land exactly here. But notice the quiet tension underneath it. Susan is secure, but she is not free. Her whole retirement works beautifully, as long as nothing ever goes badly wrong. She is one large surprise away from comfortable quietly turning into something a lot scarier. And the difference between her class and the next one is not really more money. It is more margin. And the strange thing about comfortable is that it can quietly feel like the finish line. Susan made it, technically, and that feeling can stop her from ever reaching for more. She stops pushing, because careful feels safe. But careful is not the same as free. And the gap between those two is exactly where most retirements quietly get stuck for good. The third class is the one almost everybody pictures completely wrong. Rich, in retirement, has nothing to do with yachts or mansions. Ray lives in the same kind of ordinary house that Susan does. But Ray's reliable income, his Social Security, a small pension, and the income thrown off by his investments comfortably covers everything he spends, with room to spare. He never has to touch his principal at all. He could absorb a real crisis without flinching. That, right there, is the true definition of rich in retirement. It is not the size of the pile. It is that the pile quietly keeps feeding itself, forever. And the real secret about Ray is that he never did anything dramatic to get here. There was no lucky stock, no inheritance, no clever secret. He simply kept his costs low, his saving automatic, and his lifestyle calm for decades, while almost everyone around him chased more. From the outside, the freedom looks like magic. Up close, it was just patience that nobody else was willing to have. And here is the exact line that separates comfortable from rich, the line that almost nobody draws clearly. Comfortable is when your money will probably last you. Rich is when your money simply cannot run out because you are living on what it produces and never on the principle underneath it. One of them is quietly hoping the math holds. The other one already knows that it does. Quick, honest note before we go on. None of this is financial advice. It is just how these patterns tend to play out. Your numbers and your life are your own. Now, back to it, because here is what actually sorts people into these three classes, and it is almost never their income. It comes down to four quiet things, repeated for decades, whether you started saving early or always waited for a better time. Whether your lifestyle grew slower than your income or faster. Whether you walked into retirement carrying debt or completely free of it. And whether you built income that actively pays you or just a pile that you slowly spend down. Same salary, 4 different answers, 3 completely different retirements. And here is the part that genuinely stings. Plenty of high earners retire broke, and plenty of ordinary earners retire rich. The doctor who spent every dollar he made ends up squarely in Carl's class. The school teacher who quietly invested for 40 years ends up in Ray's. Retirement does not care even slightly about what you earned. It only cares about what you kept, and about what that kept money is now able to produce for you. And the genuinely good news is that these classes are not a life sentence. They are a direction you are heading. Every dollar of debt you kill, every raise you refuse to fully spend, every small stream of income you build, quietly nudges you up toward the next class. You do not have to be rich today. You just have to be moving, deliberately, toward the class where the money feeds you, instead of you slowly feeding it. And you can actually see the real difference on their faces. Far more than in their houses. Carl looks tired. Susan looks careful. Ray simply looks calm. Because these 3 classes were never really about lifestyle at all. They are about how often you are forced to think about money, and about how afraid you feel in the moment when you do. So the goal was never to be the single richest retiree at the table. It was to quietly cross the one line that actually matters, from my money might last to my money cannot run out. That single crossing, from comfortable into free, is worth more than almost any number, and it is reachable by far more people than ever actually believe it. So the honest question is not how much you will have on the day you finally retire. It is which of these 3 classes you are quietly building toward, right now, with the choices you are making this year. Tell me in the comments, just type the word class for the one you are aiming at. And if you want the next breakdown, the one on exactly how much you need to reach the free class, it is waiting for you right now. I read every single one.